I recently published my full review of the Nikon D500. Afterwards, Raymond and I sat down to talk a little more about the camera, the review, and what's next. Raymond, it looks like you have a lot of questions there.
I do. In fact, your D500 review has been very popular in the past couple of days since its release. Does this surprise you?
Yes and no. I would say that I'm not surprised because it's a new camera. There was a lot of hype surrounding the D500. I got a lot of questions about it before I even had the camera in my hands, before it was even released. So I knew that a lot of people were going to want to watch it. With reviews, though, I often get a lot of negative comments saying you didn't focus enough on the technical specifications, you didn't do this, you didn't do that, I want to see test targets, I want to see in-depth comparisons of low ISO images, of high ISO images, of X, Y, and Z.
Video is a topic.
Video. Of all of these things. People, you're never going to be able to please everyone. But with reviews in particular, it seems like people always want a little bit more of the technical stuff. And my reviews are much more user-oriented in practical usage of the cameras rather than shooting test targets, because while a lot of people do shoot test targets, that's not really what the camera was technically kind of made for. The camera's made for taking pictures. So that's what I like to focus my reviews on, the usability of the camera, how it really feels and works, and how it works for me in particular. What I was surprised about was that people enjoyed that this time around. And I got a lot of positive comments about how people liked that. And in the past, I hadn't gotten as many comments about people liking that I had a practical review out there, because not a lot of people do reviews like that.
Sure. And it was one of your longer reviews. It checked in at about 17 minutes. But I agree with you. It seems like there's fewer comments this time telling you and everybody what wasn't in the review versus people being more amenable to the fact that it was a very practical review, and it was a review that you made based on your preferences and the way that you use a camera. 17 minutes, what did not come through in the review? In other words, if you had to shoot it now, would there be a feature, a capability, a usability that you didn't cover or felt that you didn't cover strongly enough in the 17 minutes?
I could go on forever with any of my cameras or any camera or lens, because especially with DSLR bodies now, there's so many features and I can't cover everything. Some people wanted to know more about video. Some people wanted to know more about, for example, the new autofocus fine-tuning. Autofocus fine-tuning. Those are things I just didn't have time for in the full review. And a lot of these things, also like the flip-out screen, things like that, Wi-Fi capability, they are not groundbreaking features or features that would make or break me purchasing the camera. So I didn't touch on them. That being said, I do plan on touching on some of those features in future videos, like that fine-tuning, that autofocus fine-tuning. So I don't know that I necessarily would have wanted to add those things to the review. Everything that I wanted to talk about in the review, I pretty much talked about, but there's always things that I just don't have time for. Those are some of those things. And then, the one thing that I always want to talk about more, but I hold myself back on, is cameras are cameras. they take pictures. And I always want to talk about that. I know that we want to say, oh, there's all these special features and the tilt screen is going to make the difference. And oh, this little rocker button back here that's new, that's really exciting. But you know what? It takes pictures and it's good at taking pictures. And most cameras on the market today are good at taking pictures. So I just wish I could kind of tell people, don't worry so much about which camera you're getting. Worry more about, if you enjoy holding it in your hands, you're going to want to use it and just use it because they all take pictures. So I guess that's the one thing that I always wish I could talk about a little bit more in my reviews.
Focus on photography.
Yeah, enjoy.
Of adding more features.
Enjoy it. Whatever photography is for you, enjoy it. And, people stress out a lot sitting at the computer about which camera to buy or which camera's better than the one they have. And I get it. I get it. I just bought this. but they all take pictures. Especially these days, they're all great at taking pictures. So no need to fret.
Yeah, I agree with you. In fact, this is the first camera we've had in the lab here that has an airplane mode, that needs to have airplane mode. Mm-hmm. that alone tells you where the features have gone. And you could probably spend another month putting together a review for the camera where you did go into those features, or have follow-up videos, as you will, that go more in depth. Okay, now I have 4 very quick questions for you. They're very mean questions, and they require you to make some tough choices. But I only want like 1 to 2 sentence answers, so they'll be quick.
Okay.
Peel off the Band-Aid. Are you ready? These are all the same format. If you had to choose one. Nikon D500 versus Nikon DF.
Wait, I can only choose one of those two?
I'll choose one.
And I can only use 1 to 2 sentences.
Very briefly explain why.
Okay.
This is totally unscripted.
Okay. One more time. What are the cameras?
You're stalling for time.
No.
D500 versus DF. We've had them both in the lab.
Okay, I already have my answer.
Okay.
The D500. Because while I love the DF, I actually really loved the DF for what it is and what it means, and it's a pretty camera. The D500 has it all over the DF in terms of autofocus.
It's not the cute retro, thing that the DF is. It's not.
But again, we're
DF.
Taking pictures.
But
and
gotcha.
For me, the usability of the autofocus on the D500 is much better. Should I explain a little bit more?
No.
Okay.
D500 versus D300.
You're the boss.
D500 versus D300S.
Oh, that's painful. Okay. The D300S was a wonderful camera. At the time it came out, it was, in my opinion, the best all-around camera that there was. But the D500, I have to say the D500 because it is new and improved.
D500, this one's been coming up a lot. D500 versus D750. DX versus the full frame D750, which does have the focus. It does have the users of both, and users who have used the D100s versus the 2-digit Ds know the difference. D750's got it. So D500 versus D750.
D500, period. Because the D750 has a different control scheme, which is not my personal preference. And I don't particularly care about sensor size.
Okay. This will be the toughest one coming up. No peeking. D500 versus D800 / D810.
What? All right. Let's cross the D800 off the list right away because the D810 is simply a better version of the D800.
Okay.
D810 versus D500. That's tough, man, because the D500 is a wonderful all-around camera. The D810 has some benefits, like I personally like the shutter sound better. I realize that sounds a little bit silly.
No, it's if you got to shoot with it all the time.
When
that's
I'm shooting
important.
with it all the time, the D500, I know a lot of people actually said in particular that they really liked the D500's shutter sound. It drives me crazy. It's like nails on a chalkboard to me.
What?
I don't know why. It just is. I know it sounds silly. But the one thing I really like about the D810 is that
Here, now let me get a chalkboard.
I can use, there's no. There, one thing I really like about the D810 is that I can use Nikon's, all of their prime lenses, in particular, like the 24mm wide angle prime lens I can use. I don't have that option on the D500. There is no small, compact, wide angle prime for their DX bodies that will preserve the wide angle view anyway. So I don't know. I guess if I had to choose between the two, if I only got one, I would probably say the D500. It's like choosing between my children. You are not going to do that, are you? Yeah, see, it's not even really a chalkboard. I think it's just like
you need
chalkboard paint
Yeah, you need the
on
old
particle
classroom
board.
one.
Interestingly, nails on a chalkboard never bothered me in school.
I'm freaking out right now. Okay, so what did you say? I was looking for the chalkboard.
In the end, in my long rambling response, which definitely wasn't 1 or 2 sentences long, I think I went with the D500 in the end, even though the D810, I mean, they're just two different cameras and they're for two different kind of things.
One camera in your bag only for the next 4 years. Only one camera in your bag for the next 4 years.
Oh, I'm not answering that.
No answer.
I'm telling you, no way. No way can I say there's only one camera in my bag for the next 4 years. I
Why?
use so many different cameras for different things because if I am going to the Grand Canyon and I'm shooting sunset at the rim, I want my DSLR. If I'm going into the Grand Canyon and I'm going all the way to the bottom and back out in a day, I'm probably grabbing something like my V1. If I am running in the mountains, I sure want a camera, but it's probably going to be my phone. So, not answering that. I don't have to.
All right, last question. One thing you would change about the D500? Anything is fair game. Any capability, any attribute, frames per second, ISO, how it works.
It's funny you say frames per second because there are so many frames per second on this camera, it's almost inconvenient. Because when I press on when I'm in continuous high and I press the shutter release button, I am simply not fast enough to get my finger back off the button before I have already taken 2 duplicate photos. But I wouldn't change that, that's fine. The only thing I think I would change is the ISO button and the mode button are swapped from my D810 and the D800, the D300S. It's something that I'm used to, and that is just a purely my user preference would be to switch the two. That would be it. It's a great camera.
Gotcha.
I sound like an ad. It's a great camera. That's the only thing I would change, but it's true.
Yeah, there were some changes between the D300S and like the D800 as well.
Yeah, there were some changes, but
I can't even find the
like the ISO button and the mode button are 2 buttons that I use a lot, and the white balance button, and they're all in the same general location.
I can't even find
And the quality button too.
I can't even find the metering mode. I'm
Yeah.
not even capable anymore on the D300S. Out of the way. All right, so that's the only thing you would change is the position of the ISO and the mode buttons.
Yes.
Gotcha. What do you have coming up more in depth with the D500?
Oh, I have a couple of 3 videos definitely that are on the books to be filmed. I'm going to do a D500 body tour. I'm going to do a D500 general menu walkthrough, which will probably also branch out to several other videos for detailed menu walkthroughs. And then I definitely want to do more with that autofocus fine-tuning feature because it's new and I want to explore that some more. VIPs, the conversation is continuing in this week's VIP show over at snapcheck.com.